Thank you, Madam Clerk. Colleagues, it's not often that I get to tell you about a program that could help us produce nearly 10% of our housing element goal for affordable housing financed by the federal government. And especially after decades, or more like half a century of disinvestment by the federal government in housing, it's exciting to have the opportunity to build new HUD subsidized affordable housing. But I wish that that were the end of the story. I wish I was here with good news. And instead, while other cities are jumping on this rare opportunity to secure permanent subsidies for the lowest income households and HUD subsidized units, our mayor and housing authority are letting this opportunity pass us by. And that is why today I'm introducing a resolution calling for the San Francisco Housing Authority to fully leverage what is known as the Faircloth-to-RAD option provided by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, to create up to 3,668 new, deeply affordable rental units with permanent, indefinite federal subsidy here in San Francisco. Part of the concern here is that the window to do this is set to expire if we do not initiate the application process for these units by September 30th of this year. I want to thank President Peskin, Supervisor Walton, and Supervisor Chan for their early co-sponsorship, as well as Supervisor Safai and Supervisor Ronan. Colleagues, I remain shocked that our city is not pursuing this option to fund thousands of units that the federal government is offering to subsidize in perpetuity. In 2022, this board unanimously adopted a resolution calling on the Housing Authority to explore this very program, Faircloth-to-RAD. At that time, it was specifically for Plaza East. We urged that they initiate the application to reserve units under the Faircloth-to-RAD option. That still, nearly 2 years later, has not been done by the Housing Authority. But Faircloth-to-RAD as an option was made even more attractive by changes at the federal level in 2023. And yet the Housing Authority still refuses to utilize this program citywide, even after multiple inquiries from my office, as well as from subsidized housing advocates, including the National Housing Law Project. The Housing Authority inexplicably still has not announced its intention to submit a single request for what's known as the Notice of Anticipated RAD Rents, which is what initiates the Faircloth-to-RAD option. And it's very important to understand that just submitting that, which is literally a few clicks, it's a non-binding process. It would reserve those units, even if for some reason the nonprofit developer or city opted not to pursue the development. It is a non-binding process, but it is one that is necessary to reserve the funds to finance new units. Nationally, other cities are taking full advantage of this new program. As of September 2023 last year, more than 4,000 units were already in HUD's Faircloth-to-RAD pipeline, including projects by the District of Columbia Housing Authority, Cambridge Housing Authority in Massachusetts, Philadelphia Housing Authority, Chicago Housing Authority, and Galveston, Texas Housing Authority. The Boston Housing Authority is already fully leveraging HUD's time-limited rent augmentation flexibility for Faircloth-to-RAD developments to grow their affordable housing units by roughly 3,000 units on city-owned land and in private developments over the next 10 years. Mayor Wu in Boston issued a request for quotes from developers and owners of new multifamily rental construction within the city of Boston to see who's interested in developing these deeply affordable units and availing themselves of this federal option. Similarly, the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles amended its 2024 agency plan quote, to use all of its Faircloth limit authority, specifically 1,965 available units, through the Faircloth-to-RAD program. And if folks wonder what Faircloth is that I'm talking about, it was a horrible amendment to federal law back in 1998 that basically set as a maximum, as a cap, the number of public housing units in any public housing authority in any city at the number that existed in 1999. It was an anti-public housing amendment by Senator Faircloth from South Carolina at the time, and it was designed to prevent the growth of public housing. But what's happened over time is that as the number of public housing units has decreased, and here in San Francisco, we're down from, in 1999, we had about 4,000 units of public housing. We're now down to several hundred units of public housing. But what that means is that we have what's called Faircloth authority to actually build up to 4,000 units, which is another 3,665 units, if we can finance them. And now, finally, the federal government is providing a way for us to finance them. The city and the housing authority must step up and follow the lead of these other cities that I've mentioned, utilize this important and time-sensitive option. If we're serious about achieving our affordable housing goals, especially having recently passed the housing element with bold goals of creating over 46,000 units of affordable housing, this federal opportunity must be part of the plan. The time is now for the mayor and housing authority to ensure that we're not losing out on funding thousands of new HUD subsidized units. I look forward to working with all of you colleagues to not only pass this resolution, but to ensure that the city fully avails itself of this opportunity to fund thousands of new rental units for extremely low income San Franciscans. And the rest I submit.
Thank you, Supervisor Preston.